I was a little bit taken back because I said, "Ooh, I guess I am going to survive." But I'd like to just start out with a little parable that I kind of liken the economy to, and that's the recent plane crash in the Hudson River, Miracle on the Hudson. If you think about it, we were just kind of going along, we lost our engines, we just started gliding, and we're looking out the window, the water's getting closer and closer and closer. And at the point we're at right now, I think everybody's prepared for impact. And we're just praying that the pilot knows what they're doing, and that we're all going to come out of it okay. So, in my opinion, consumer confidence is a major problem that's out there right today. You have to be an optimist to be in the real estate business because, as you probably know, realtors live on commissions. They don't pay, they don't produce. So you have to always think that the glass is half full. You have to always see the positive. You can't see the negative, or you just wouldn't get up and go to work. Okay? So if you believe that things can be good, or things are going to turn around soon, this is actually a great time for people to be investing in real estate. Prices are great, interest rates are down, and they're going to even be coming lower as the government stimulus package takes off, and also the increased tax rates at the top. So this is actually, you have to see the positive that's out there. For 20 years, real estate was an investment vehicle. People lived off of their homes. They took vacations, they put their kids through college, they bought cars, they had plenty of money to spend. Well, those are the people that we're seeing today that are what we call upside down. They owe more than their houses are worth. The average person that bought any time prior to like 2004 is still making money on their property today. Okay? Even if you bought 2004 and beyond, if you sold another house to buy that house, it's not that you're really losing money today, you just didn't make as much as you did on the house that you sold to buy the house you're in now. Unfortunately, the people that bought for the first time, 2004 and after, those are the people that are really ending up in severe trouble. Buying, again, you need to remember, and again, as the optimist, you need to be able to sell in the real estate business, the fact that you get your tax credits, your mortgage interest write-off, your real estate taxes, and again, you're providing basic shelter, and that's one of the basic necessities of life. You need to, and to be successful in the real estate industry, you need to recognize the trends of what's happening, and you need to be able to be proactive versus reactive. I'm involved in a lot of different organizations. Doug mentioned Rotary, the Chamber. I'm very involved with the Board of Realtors, past president, current president of Century 21 for this year, and all of those organizations that I belong in, I'm very involved in. And the reason you come to something like this, you get to talk to people, you hear other people spin on what's going on. And you need to take that back and implement some part of it into your own daily life and your own business. In the real estate market today, there is a little bit of a pent-up demand. And it's hard to believe, but there's very little inventory out there right now. If you drive around, think about how often you really see signs. Okay, not much. Anything that's coming on the market today, if it's priced reasonable, it's going in a relatively short period of time. And we're also starting to see multiple offers, and we just actually sold one house for full price. So that turn is just about to happen. National news will never tell you that. Okay? And from 30 years in the business, I know that by the time something usually hits the news, it's really old news. But if you really want to know what's going on in the local economy, because of the lack of inventory right now, and that's, I believe, due to consumer confidence, the market is starting to turn right now. For years, to be successful in the real estate business, all you need to do is put time in. If you put time in, you'd sell a house. You were an order taker. But in the last 3 years, the real estate has been down. Agents have had to really get good. They've had to take courses. They've had to take advantage of the tools and the systems that they have. The office has had to be proactive rather than reactive. When I went to school, I learned that in my accounting classes that you always needed more black ink than you needed red ink. Okay? So, as Doug was saying, you need to really monitor your budget. One of the things that we do is we monitor our budget every month versus just going along and at the end of the year saying, how did we do? So that you can make those adjustments month to month versus waiting for 6 months or a year and saying, oh my God, what am I going to do? Our corporate culture is one that we're willing to go the extra mile. We've seen a lot of people go through a lot of tough times right now. Marriages, divorces, births, and deaths are the main people that have a real need today to move, but financial hardships are just unbelievable. So to be successful, to me, it's more than just money. It's also the impact that you can have in people's lives. When a new situation arises, you need to draw on your past experiences. You need to say, this reminds me of whatever might have happened before. And you try to solve that problem based on your past experiences. That's why somebody that's been around for a little while, that's a positive compared to everything else seems to be the new way of doing things. But if you have some experience, you can relate it, you can try to find the least painful remedy to the situation someone's maybe going through. Foreclosures and short sales are a big part of the real estate market right now. They are driving the pricing, okay? Someone losing their home or somebody that owes more and needs to sell it for less, okay? When that happens in a community, that becomes the new comparable. That becomes the new basis for pricing. So, although things are maybe somewhat slow around here, we're a lot better off than we are in other parts of the country. You talk to people that are out in other Midwestern states, out in Las Vegas, for example, there's just row after row after row of vacant houses and foreclosures. So when you watch the national news, you need to take that into place. However, the negative of that is the local people think that it's every house in the town is going into foreclosure. So that's that consumer confidence, and that's that period that you need to be out into the marketplace telling people the real story is, and this is what's really happening. Another survival technique that has really paid off for me, and I'll tell it in the terms of a story that I use in my office all the time, to take personalities out of it, because we're in a very competitive industry, and I don't like to talk about people, but if I could try to get the point across, I'd always tell the same story to my agents. And I'll use the term widgets, okay? Those of us that are my age or about remember talking about widgets in school. That was a make-believe product. That was a name that we used for something that they were thinking about creating. Nowadays, I guess it's a computer term. But anyway, you can go along and you're making your widgets and you're selling your widgets, okay? Then all of a sudden, someone new comes to the marketplace and says, you know what? I can make plastic widgets. It's going to cost me less. I can go out to the marketplace and I can give a little bit of a discount, but I'm really going to make a lot of money because I'm only making plastic widgets. But people are using the widgets for the same ones that the people are using the metal widgets for, and I'm going to make all this money. Well, that's great in good times. But when you have a big project come up, such as a tough economy, and you start using plastic widgets, it doesn't take too long for those plastic widgets to give way to the person that really needs the metal widget. So if you're a person that provides metal widget service, you're going to survive compared to the person that gives the discounted service or the discounted product, the plastic widget. They're eventually going to be found out. So you have to believe in the product that you provide, and you have to believe in the service that you provide. And you can't fall way to those basic instincts that you have. You're either the type of person that provides a good product or the type of person that looks for the shortcut. So probably people in this group, because you're investing time in an organization like the Chamber, you're the type of people that like the metal widgets compared to the person who likes the plastic widgets, or makes the plastic widgets. I hope everybody's able to follow that. I'm the type of person that tells people what they want to hear, not necessarily what they want to know, but tell them what they need to know. I got confused there.
The widget.
Yeah. The team that in my office that we've been able to create has been very important. These are people that I tell them all the time, I couldn't ask to work with a better group of people, both personally and professionally. Last year, I went out and I bought a second office. Century 21 in North Reading, I bought Century 21 in Wilmington. That was my way of handling the down market. I figured I need to increase revenues, so if I bring in an additional company that helps me do that, and if I can minimize the expenses, we'll run about where we were before. So that's working out very successfully. So it isn't always just cutting, and that's an important part. You do need to watch your expenses, you do need to cut, but you also need to think about how can I do other things, whether it be products, or new services, or new locations. Very, very important to expand when others are shrinking. I think a couple of years from now, we'll all be sitting here saying, wow, I should have bought a lot of real estate back when the prices were really down. So if anybody wants to buy, have 20 cards with me. And in closing, I'll just go to watching the Super Bowl, the last 35 seconds, things turned around, I have a heartbeat. And that could happen again with the economy. You have to believe that, you have to be an optimist. And again, thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here today. I just want to follow up on what Eric said, because he really mentioned having a financial plan, and I think it's really important over the next couple of years to have an idea of what you need in terms of your business, but also personally in terms of liquidity, what kinds of cash that you need. I think it's also very important, as he said, to diversify. And you could be in 10 or 15 different investments and in fact not be that well diversified. It's really good to work with somebody who will run some of the overlap programs so that you can make sure that you don't have too large a percentage in any one company or any one sector of the economy or any one country. So I think those are important considerations. I think looking, as Eric said, towards alternative investments are going to be important for a good diversification. And as this is obviously such a dreadful time for people who are retiring in the next couple of years. But if you're not, this may be the biggest opportunity that you have. I think when we say look to the future and to be positive, the market is always, sometimes it's taken several years, but the market is always going back up. So with that in mind, I think it's good to stay invested, as Eric said. And there are statistics that show that if you stay invested, you make a profit. If you miss the 5 best days in a 10-year period, you don't make as much. If you miss the 10 best, you don't make as much. 15, the same. If you miss the 20 best days in the market in a 10-year period, you actually get a negative return. So it's important to stay invested, and if you pulled back and taken some of your assets out of the market, I would think about getting back in and holding tough. And certainly talking about that with somebody is a good idea. And I was trying to think of, there's all kinds of advice on the TV, and I was trying to think of what I could tell you that might be different, that you don't see very much. And thinking, I believe that regardless of what Obama says, that we are all going to be in a much higher tax environment in the future. That I think the logical consequence of bailout and stimulus is over a long period of time, everybody's going to pay higher taxes. So there were a couple of things I think might be worthy of consideration and would work for everybody, but you might want to talk to your CPA or your financial advisor. One is, if you've lost money, which undoubtedly you have in an IRA, you might want to take this opportunity where you're supposed to be at a favorable tax bracket now, to take a look at converting your IRA or a portion of your IRA into a Roth, because it's lost so much value that you would be taxed on a lower amount. And if you believe that in the future, several years from now, that the tax environment is going to be much more severe and you would pay higher taxes, the advantage to you is you get taxed on a smaller amount of money, and then it gets into an account that has the potential for growth if you believe that the market will recover and will do well. So when you take your distributions out, you're taking them out. It's a higher tax bracket, but you don't have to pay taxes on it because your Roth distributions are tax-free. The other advantage to it is, in fact, you don't have to take distributions at 70 and a half. You are not required to do that in a Roth. And should you die, your beneficiaries, at least at this point in time, do not pay taxes on any of the growth. So I think that one small way for some people.